Okay, I'll be good.
Yeah, I'm,
Birds, I don't know.
I hear the birds.
Yeah.
Hello, Adele.
What if we put a drape on? Hi.
Hi.
What if we drape a sheet over them?
No.
Hmm?
Well, have you checked to see if the new satellite system's available in your area yet?
I didn't know there was. How do I check?
I'll send you the link.
Okay. I think we've got a
It's,
year left on our contract with Dish.
Oh, okay. It's being done by Elon Musk.
Oh, well, it must be good. Morning, Richie.
Oh, it's Bob. Good morning.
Hi, Bob.
Hi, Richie.
Morning.
You probably want to unmute Bob. Here.
How are you guys this morning?
Good.
Robert,
David.
good to see you, as always.
Uh-huh. I was trying to use my computer and then couldn't find the link, and then Richie went back through the going back.
I just opened this week at UUFT.
She opened this with the UUFT. I was explaining that typically it gives the Zoom link at the.
It wasn't in that. I looked at it also.
All right, that's fine. Just as long as I think
As long as
that
the four of us are on, that's all that matters.
the harder we make it to get in, the more likely it is people won't come.
But that wasn't hard. There was a link that was underlined that said Sunday service in this week at UUFT.
I didn't see it there, Richie.
Well, I did. That's how I got in.
Okay. It's on the web, it's on the UUFT website.
Right.
Yes.
But the link takes you directly to that with the Zoom link on it.
Well, that's how I got in, by clicking on the link, and it started Zoom. The Zoom link is on the website under Sunday services, right where it used to be. But it should be in every email and communication that goes out.
I agree.
I think Lou forgot.
So it goes.
I mean, I never forget anything.
Yeah, me too. David, I just sent you a draft order of service.
I
Did you
saw
get
it.
that? Okay,
I got it, but I haven't looked at it.
okay, that's fine. Not a problem. Robin is pretty inconsistent about responding to stuff I send. Sometimes she does, sometimes she doesn't, so that concerns me.
Oh, Frank G. Taft.
You're being recorded. This
Hi,
is-
Frank.
Good morning.
Just be careful what you say. Okay.
We are
Well,
trying.
Bob, I'm glad we didn't do a luncheon yesterday. I don't think anyone would have showed up.
We would have been there, Frank.
Yeah,
No, we wouldn't.
Excuse me, I would have been there.
well, maybe next year. Maybe we can return to luncheon next New Year's. What day of the week is New Year's on next year? Does anyone know?
It should be Sunday, correct?
When?
Sunday.
I don't think it's always advancing by one day. I guess I could look at that.
Except when it's a leap year.
Leave here.
Well, let me look it up here.
I'm gonna beat him to it.
I was gonna bring up my calendar. I forgot.
It's on Sunday.
Sunday.
It's a Sunday next year. Excellent.
Is it?
I don't know. We won't get the day off from work.
I admire an old man with his sense of humor.
So when you find one, let me know.
Yeah, it's Sunday, January the 1st.
Yeah. It goes like that till we hit a leap year. Well, how was everybody's week?
Well, mine was okay.
Still working full time, Frank?
Pretty much.
Well, that's cool. If I work 2 hours a week, it's a lot these days, which is fine by me.
Well, I was going to retire about 4 or 5 years ago, but then as the date approached, I realized I didn't have anything else to occupy my time. So,
Well, I don't know, Frank, there's probably enough time for you to go to divinity school and become our minister.
well, that's true.
Since Bob refuses to do it.
I thought you had that plan, David.
Oh, long time ago.
I can get a mirror for you.
Walt, your beard looks exceptionally good this morning. Did you comb it or something or what?
I brushed it, and thank you for noticing it. Yours, on the other hand, I
Can't see it.
don't know what to say about it.
Can't see it, can you?
Hello,
Good morning, Lou.
Hi, Bobby.
Hey,
Well, are you all ready for the big Chiefs game today?
Yes.
I've told them they're allowed to play today, yes.
Are they playing in Kansas City? My God, it's going to be
I don't
freezing.
think so. No, I think it's an away game.
she might be playing someplace even colder.
Yeah.
Hello, Lou.
Good morning.
I've started recording and closed captioning is on.
Great. Okay.
Lou, a request from the crowd. Every email that you send out that refers to Sunday service, put the link in it. Does that work for you?
Right now. Wait a minute.
You could include the link in every email and post that refers to the Sunday service.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, I sent out a copy of the program this morning and that didn't have the link in it. Is that what you're referring to?
Right.
Okay. If
Usually
I
a
had
good
been
idea.
more on the ball, I would have included that program in the email last night.
Understood. Good morning, Joseph.
Hello.
I think Lou is pretty amazing in what she does to keep us informed.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you.
I totally agree. As we stated earlier, who doesn't forget? We all do.
Remember the
Okay,
old
I'm
days
gonna
of
go
printing
get
the
my,
newsletter and flying labels
tea.
and stamps and mailing it out?
Good morning, Krista.
Krista,
Good morning,
welcome.
everybody.
Good morning.
How's the weather in your part of town, Krista?
Pretty sunny.
Well, yeah, you're right.
Sunny and cold.
Looking out the window, I do see the sun, but it's at 2 degrees here at the Taft property. Well, this is Kansas. We need some cold weather.
Yeah, really.
It's been too warm here recently.
What we need is precipitation.
Thanksgiving reminded me of Arkansas. It's about the right temperature for Thanksgiving down there where I grew up. Yeah, we do need some rain, that's for sure.
Where in Arkansas did you grow up, Frank?
Place called Walden, Arkansas, about 25 miles from the Oklahoma line.
I'll be over with quickly.
I was married to a Little Rock lady for some period of time.
Dad, I've got another copy of it.
The family was from Duval's Bluff, Arkansas.
Yeah, I've heard of the Balls Bluff. I don't know where it is.
Almost nowhere.
Actually, I think I looked up the Balls Bluff one time. It's probably it's about as small or smaller than the little town I grew up in.
Yep, pretty tiny. Her grandmother had a bait shop there.
How did you meet someone from Duval's Bluff?
Well, she lived in Little Rock at the time, and I was a airman at the air base.
That air base still open?
I think it is.
I don't, what was the name of it?
Little Rock Air Force Base. LRAFD.
I grew up in Arkansas. I only been in Little Rock one time. That's when I was about 11 years old. I don't remember too much about it.
The city like every other.
Krista, did you go home for the holidays?
No, I didn't. No, I was here. I went home like the first week in December.
How's your family doing?
They're doing good. Yeah, they moved into a new house, so they're doing pretty good.
What prompted the move to a new house?
They didn't want all the stairs. They didn't want a lot of stairs, so.
Hello, Mr. Hoover.
Howdy.
Nice
Hey,
to have
Rod.
you on with us.
How you doing, Rod?
Okay, how are you all?
Oh, doing okay. A little cold over this part of town.
How old are you now, Frank?
95.
Not how old do you feel?
Yeah, I got up this morning. I said,
Anybody watch?
I'm 95 years old. I didn't live that long.
Well, you look good for 95.
Anybody watch Saturday Night Live with Betty White last night?
Nope.
Yes,
Was that a treat,
it was.
Carolyn?
I love the various and sundry noise coming across. Birds and books.
I like the birds.
That's what I said.
I'll mute when we get ready to start the program. I can't mute the birds, but I can mute the PC. I think whenever a new person joins, there should be a doorbell sound. Don't you think?
There is.
We should work on that.
I hear it.
That's a good idea.
The host does hear a doorbell.
Hi, Carolyn.
Hi.
Oh, Carolyn's gone. Oh,
No, I'm not.
What are you having for breakfast, Carolyn? We see you.
Cinnamon
you're back.
toast.
What?
Cinnamon toast and oatmeal and fresh squeezed orange juice and a grapefruit.
Sounds very helpful.
I baked a coffee cake yesterday. I'd never made a coffee cake. I don't know why it's called a coffee cake. It has no coffee in it.
Eat it with coffee.
Yeah,
Frank.
it's consumed with coffee.
Well, it's just a normal cake, basically. I was kind of disappointed. I'd often heard of coffee cake, and I'm on a listserv for food.com, which sends out a new recipe usually every day, and most of them are fairly simple. So I've come to cooking a lot recently in the past year or two. Trouble is,
Hi, Susanna.
if I cook something, I have to eat it for a week, or throw it out.
Hi, Susanna.
Morning.
Good morning, Susanna.
Move your screen, Rod. You look like Kilroy.
Oh, Kilroy's here.
I know it.
That's a good one. He just needs to hang his hands over the bottom of the screen.
I don't know.
There you go. There you go, Rod.
Can we all do that? Let's all do that.
You guys are having too much fun.
You're hanging on.
We're so entertained. Hey, hi to the Forsters.
All the way from Lawrence, Kansas. How's the weather in Lawrence, Kansas this morning?
Probably bombing.
They're not speaking to us today.
Yes, we are.
There they are.
Oh, they are.
Hi, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's still only 1 degrees without the wind.
Well, in Topeka, it's 2 degrees. I guess that's why we feel so much warmer here.
5 degrees in my backyard.
Someone is chatting. Let's see who's chatting. My microphone is not working.
Oh, it is.
Yes, it is.
Okay. And there's Ramon. Good morning, Ramon.
Good morning,
Raymond.
Frank. How are you?
Good.
Hi, Raymond.
Hi. Hey, yeah. Good to see you.
He doesn't meet you.
Frank, are you sure you're not drunk?
Well, I'm just a manic depressive personality, Some days I'm up, some days I'm down.
It sounds.
It's a coffee cake.
Yeah, too much coffee.
Frank, there's about 1,000 different kinds of coffee cake.
There's Jana's iPad, but no Jana. Where's Jana?
Here I am.
Oh, Jana.
Morning.
I'm
Good
here.
morning.
Good morning, Jana.
Good morning, everyone.
Good
Where's our
morning.
Rob this morning?
Morning.
Rob's gonna be here in a minute. He's feeding the birds.
Mm, mm.
Good, good for him.
Important activity on a day like today.
He's feeding Walt's
Yeah.
birds. How do you do that?
Inside or outside?
Oh, outside, scraping the snow away on the patio and putting the bird seed down. We've got a lot of cardinals that love feeding on the ground
Yeah.
as well as up above. We had about 4 or 5 blue jays yesterday. We gave them peanuts and they loved that. So that was fun to watch.
Ah,
You know, I had 5 cardinals yesterday in a bush in front of my house. 2 or 3 males and a couple of females. I guess they were thinking about starting a nest. It's a little early for that.
Yeah.
You might say,
Morning, Janine.
Good morning.
Good morning.
good morning, Janine.
Good morning.
I'm still getting settled in, so I didn't want to miss anything, so I turned you on first.
Good morning, Ann.
she's not on yet. Hello, Ann Barr.
Hi, where am I here?
Hi,
Welcome
Ann.
back.
Hi.
Good to see you.
Good morning.
Good to see you all. Thank you.
There's Natalie. Hello, Natalie.
Frank, we're gonna make you the official greeter.
Well, it is 10:30, and while the latecomers are settling into their pews, I think we could get started. Would like to ask everyone to mute, please, so that we don't have quite so much racket going on. Okay, this is the Sunday morning program of the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Topeka for January 2, 2022. We wish to be welcoming to people of all races and all sexualities and genders, to those who are other abled and who come from other cultures. If we fail in making you feel welcome, we hope you will find a way to tell us that. And since we are on Zoom, you are welcome sick or well, vaccinated or unvaccinated. And now it's time for announcements. Our next Sunday, our January 9 program will feature Robin Hanson talking about the human need for religion. I think, at least that's my take on the topic. Robin is new to our group. Let's show our appreciation for her taking the mic next Sunday. Following the Sunday program on January 9 next week, there will be a mortgage Q&A session. This is a complex topic. Following Alan Foster's presentation at the December congregational meeting, information was posted online. If you're a member of UUFT, we hope you've had a chance to review that information. If you do not have the link, please contact Valerie Ecuscon or me. And in February, there will be a vote about the mortgage. And now, to begin our program, we're going to have a little poetry. And Rod, you're on. Thank you.
Okay, I think there were some other announcements, but this is a poem by Alfred Lord Tennyson taken out of a great long poem called In Memoriam. Ring out, wild bells, to the wild sky, the flying cloud, the frosty light. The year is dying in the night. Ring out, wild bells, and let him die. Ring out the old, ring in the new. Ring, happy bells, across the snow. The year is going, let him go. Ring out the false, ring in the true. Ring out the grief that saps the mind for those that here we see no more. Ring out the feud of rich and poor. Ring in redress to all mankind. Ring out a slowly dying cause and ancient forms of party strife. Ring in the nobler modes of life with sweeter manners, purer laws. Ring out the want, the care, the sin, the faithless coldness of the times. Ring out my mournful rhymes and ring the fuller minstrel in. Ring out false pride in place and blood, the civic slander and spite. Ring in the love of truth and right. Ring in the common love of good. Ring out old shapes of foul disease. Ring out the narrowing lust of gold. Ring out the thousand wars of old.
Okay, we've lost your sound, Rod. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Rod. And now we'll have the chalice lighting. Krista?
Oh my. So this is a candle. I didn't realize that you're not going to really be able to see it. Anyway, hold on. So the reading is from former columnist Ellen Goodman. We spend January 1 walking through our lives, room by room, drawing up a list of work to be done, cracks to be patched. Maybe this year, to balance the list, we ought to walk through the rooms of our lives, not looking for flaws, but for potential.
Thank you, Krista. And now, Rod is quite right. I should have asked if there are any further announcements. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to announce? Okay, if not, we'll go on to joys and concerns. And I did receive one joy. Beth and Kent Forster celebrated a joyful 42nd anniversary on December 22 and hope for many more. Congratulations, Beth and Kent. We love you. And are there any other joys or concerns? I know many of us had visitors over the holiday. We did. We're very pleased, and probably many of you are in the same boat.
Lou, there's one in the chat.
Okay. That's from Patricia Hildenbrand. Okay. 21st anniversary. Congratulations. And Maya's going to be 12. Wow. Wow. You know, I noticed we have another young person with us today. We're always glad to see the little ones. Thank you. Okay, if there are no other joys and concerns, I'm going to share what.
Oh, I have one.
Yeah, Anne.
I just want to say how joyful I felt when I received, I guess, a homemade painting by Jebel and Jarvis and their 3 boys. That was unexpected and lovely, and I just want to thank them for that.
Okay, yes, yeah. Okay, good. Now I'm going to share some personal feelings about New Year's. On New Year's Day, I used to get a certain feeling of newness and new possibilities and an enthusiasm I didn't feel the day before. When I was younger, I made resolutions for each new year. But as I saw those resolutions evaporate year after year, it seemed wiser to skip disappointing myself. I long ago gave up celebrating New Year's Eve. Drinking is long gone. Staying up till midnight, no. I thought I was really over New Year's. It's just one more day, I thought. Yet last year, I felt deeply disappointed when New Year's Day rolled around. I'm sure you remember that unholy mix of pandemic, ivermectin, a president who refused to concede the election, and followers who were prepared to follow him anywhere. It was an ugly mix. I could measure how much the new year meant to me by how profoundly disappointed and angry and upset I was on New Year's Day, 2021. Then came January 6th. Yikes. One thing I know about myself is that I am a person who needs hope and optimism. I need to feel a little wind in my sails, and I was missing that boost of optimism that I used to get on New Year's Day. I am resolving from this year forward to take the new year seriously as a holiday meant for the annual rebirth of optimism. Here at the start of 2022, there are some menacing issues overhanging us. Climate change and anti-democracy and the abortion rights threat, not to mention Yemen and Afghanistan and the China Sea. I am not a person who can ignore world affairs, so I've been giving serious thought to how to maintain optimism. This is my program for maintaining hope. First, look for silver linings. And here's an example. 2021 made it very clear that climate change is here and is a big threat. I won't list all the ways that the threat of climate change became clear, but what about that massive grass fire that occurred a few weeks ago, right here in Kansas, right next to my little hometown of Natoma? And just 2 days ago, a big fire in Boulder County, Colorado, consumed hundreds of homes. And where is the silver lining there? To me, what I see is that more people will take climate change seriously. Statistics show more people are taking climate change seriously. The world is creeping closer to taking action against climate change. Second, look for good news. There's good news all around us all the time, but most of it is so boring we don't notice it, and certainly doesn't get reported in the paper or on the nightly news. The news tends to be mostly bad news, and it can put you in a bad mood if you are not careful. Now, here is a recent headline I saw in the New York Times. A 6th grader saves the lives of 2 people on the same day. That is a headline I would not pass up. I read that story, every word of it. And it did cheer me up. And finally, I'm a member of this fellowship because being around people who value and work for the same things I do really gives me a lift. So that's my prescription for hope and optimism. Look for the silver linings, look for the good news, spend time with good people. And humor, don't forget humor. And David, you can go ahead with the next item. Okay, thank you. And now Krista's going to tell us about how she handles New Year.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. So for me, the new year brings excitement and hopefulness because I have an excuse to try to reinvent myself. So here's my list I try to keep in mind to instill a happy new year. So 1, resolutions that include attainable and specific goals. 2, time-honored traditions that remind me I'm entering a new year with new possibilities and in some case, hard work. And a good party or special gathering to send me into new beginnings. So number 1, resolutions. I think I try to choose resolutions with factors that are within my immediate control. And my top 3 resolutions often fall into the predictable category of self-care. So most people make resolutions that kind of revolve around self-care. For me, this includes eating better, losing weight, getting in better shape, like everybody kind of tries to think about. So if I lose a couple of pounds or can stay on the treadmill a few minutes longer, I chalk that up as a success. If I choose a more ambitious goal, like be a better person, I try to be specific, like no cattiness. Number 2, for me, time-honored traditions are what make the new year an actual holiday and not just the flip in the page of the calendar. Several of my go-to traditions involve food, New Year's Eve pizza parties, New Year's Day pork and sauerkraut, or more recently, dumplings and sauerkraut. And one that I've always wanted to try, Hoppin' John, a French African Caribbean dish with black-eyed peas, pork, and rice. So I know growing up, sometimes I had the unfortunate task of babysitting on New Year's Eve. I'm sure many of you have. So Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve kind of made me feel like I was an attendee at a great party. And I always enjoyed watching the ball to count down to the new year. Also banging pots at midnight, I think to chase away bad spirits and welcome good ones. And then number 3, best of all, a good party or celebration. So parties always help me welcome new beginnings and make new challenges more palatable. So for me, New Year's get-togethers usually involved high school friends. My most memorable get-together involved clubbing in New York City, taking a midnight subway to a crash pad, and New Year's Day brunch in the same clothes as the night before. If I was in good company, a celebratory kiss with someone I liked at midnight gave me hope of prosperous new beginnings. I have to say my all-time favorite celebration for several years involved a 5K New Year's Eve run through Topeka. It was actually around the Shunga Trail area. And you'd have to dart icy patches and run in the pitch black. You finished right around midnight. And it just made me feel invigorated and energized, and also enthusiastic and hopeful about the new year. So here are some New Year's Eve and day traditions I would like to adopt. The New Year's Day polar plunge, I'm sure you guys have heard of it, plunging into a cold, very cold body of water. So here it would be a lake if you lived near the ocean or the bay. I signed up several times and never made it. Always really intimidated by the cold. My nephew actually did it yesterday, so that was pretty cool. Attending a watch night. A watch night is a late night Christian church service with African-American roots that celebrate the freeing of slaves in the Confederate States during the Civil War. It basically starts between 7 and 10 and runs until midnight, allowing you to pray your way into a prosperous, positive new year. Following tradition, everyone is invited to write out their New Year's goals and place them into a barrel. The idea being that your goals are more likely to be realized if they're in the company of others. And my favorite, my kind of one that I've always kind of wanted to do, blessing of the animals. Farmers started this tradition with the hopes of a good farming year. And for me as an animal lover, I would bless all the animals who have to coexist with humans. So there you go, my formula for a happy new year.
That's terrific, Krista. You're so much younger than me. Okay, and now we are going to hear from Frank, who is going to read one of his original stories, Room 209, Anthony. Take it away, Frank.
Yeah, send me a chat if the sound is not good.
Room 209, Anthony, Kansas. From the size of the stain on the carpet next to the bed, I knew someone had been killed in room 209 within the past 30 days. Evidently management had not had time, or more likely the money, to clean the carpet. One thing was clear, however. I had checked into a failing motel in a dying town with things needing to be explained. It reminded me of a motel room near O'Hare Airport back when I was traveling abroad. Coming back from Frankfurt, the weather was bad and I couldn't get a flight out that evening to Kansas City and had to scrounge a motel room nearby. That room in that motel had a similar stain on the carpet. But that was Chicago, where one would expect such with its gangland reputation. This was Anthony, Kansas, and only a Sooner quarterback's throw from the Oklahoma line. But let's back up a few hours here. The internet can be deceiving. Whether you are searching for a new wife or a place to stay, it pays to be skeptical about web page promises. I had to learn this lesson anew. The motel was called the Wheatfield Inn, a simple, clean, inviting name. It had a simple, clean, inviting web page too. I had selected the Wheatfield Inn over the Anthony Motel and Cafe, just across the street and half a block west consciously. I made my selection both by the web page of this motel and by the absence of a web page for the other. I called the Wheatfield Inn and made a reservation. The voice answering was heavily accented, Asian probably. This was no concern to me, as most motel clerks are Mexicans, Vietnamese, you name it these days. Coming down I-235 from Wichita, I first went farther west and paid a visit to Waldron, Kansas, to do some historical research. Waldron lies 8 miles out of Anthony on Highway 2 and then 10 miles south down a soft dirt road. I am from a small town in Arkansas that also bears the name of Waldron, and I was curious how a Kansas town had acquired the same name. All that remains of Waldron, Kansas are the bleached bones of a town founded in 1874, now numbering 27 inhabitants. I saw a few dilapidated houses but none of 27 people. The main street was a dirt road that ran about 100 yards farther south, crossed into Alfalfa County, Oklahoma, and disappeared forever into the distance. On the east side of Main Street was the skeleton of a wooden structure on which the word bank could still be faintly seen. Across the street west was an abandoned church with no evidence of its religious affiliation. To the north was a fallen-in structure with a faded sign indicating it was once some kind of community building. An outhouse in the rear had its door ajar and its roof askew. The only sound was the whispering wind and the screeching of tin roofs tormented by occasional gusts. A few black cows grazed in the corner of a pasture. They took no notice of my presence, and after driving up and down the 2 streets of Waldron, Kansas, and thinking of driving over the invisible state line into Oklahoma, just to say I had done so, I turned and headed back north out of town, having seen no living soul save for the cattle. I was later to learn that Tammy Faye Baker, of all people, is buried in Anthony, Kansas. She remarried after divorcing Jim Baker, the infamous TV preacher who was convicted of fraud and spent some years in prison. I found this snippet about her on the internet. Tammy divorced Jim in 1992 when he was in prison for fraud, then married Roe Messner, the chief builder of Heritage USA, who had just divorced his wife, and who was also later imprisoned for fraud. When Tammy died in 2007, her husband buried her next to his mother outside of Waldron, Kansas, in a small, unmarked windswept prairie cemetery accessible only by miles of dirt road. Waldron currently has a population of 10. While a criminal record and years of incarceration will hamper most men, it clearly does not hinder a preacher, as Jim Baker is back on TV and huckstering even harder than before. God works in mysterious ways. Driving back up the soft dirt road towards Highway 2, I halted along the way to shoot some video of the terrain. A young man in a Chevy pickup stopped to see what I was doing. He wondered whether I was having car trouble, he said. Out here, it's a long way to the next gas station and locals watch for stalled motorists, he added. I told him where I was from and of my interest in the area. Just then another pickup came speeding towards us from the north, a plume of red dust in its wake. I thanked him and got back into my car and out of the way. I continued north on the dirt road towards Highway 2, admiring the many sunflowers that waved a bright and cheery hello to me from vast fields of red earth recently plowed for winter wheat. The red earth reminded me I was near the Oklahoma line. It made me a little nostalgic for the 6 years I spent in Oklahoma City a long time ago. The sunflowers reminded me I was now at home in Kansas, the sunflower state. On a rise I stopped my car again, got out, pulled a bunch of sunflowers up by their roots and laid them in my trunk, dirt and all. I would plant them in my garden, and if any survived, each autumn henceforth they would remind me of this day and of this red earth rolling off to the blue horizon and of the yellow sunflowers smiling and nodding at me along this soft dirt road. Back in Anthony, turning into the Wheatfield Inn, I observed that mine was the only car in the parking lot, a troubling omen. But, it's early, I thought. It's only 1:30 p.m. and checkout time is 11 a.m. at most motels, and check-in time is 2 to 3 p.m. I've just missed the rush out and I'm ahead of the rush in, I thought. It had been a modern architecture in 1965, the motel I mean. Its tall windows reached from the ground to near the roofline. Most of the rooms faced west. In this part of Kansas, natives know what that means. A hot afternoon sun bearing down, pounding on the windows of your room, brazen and persistent like a bill collector with a summons who knows you're home. High energy bills from trying to cool the rooms had probably ruined several operators before the present ones fell into running the place. Today was a hot Sunday afternoon. And with that insight, I understood why mine was the only car in the parking lot. There had been no rush out off Wheatfield Inn at 11 a.m. and there would be no rush in at 3 p.m. I hesitated. What was my other choice in this town? I turned my car around and drove across the street to the Anthony Motel and Cafe. I didn't need a GPS for this. The cafe advertised home cooking and the parking lot was full of pickups, both propitious signs. I was hungry after the historical research I had done that morning, so I parked and entered. It was a working man's diner in the classic format. I squeezed past two men standing just inside the door, both farmers, or tradesmen, both clearly locals. The younger, about 50, seemed to be waiting for his father, a man about 80, to pay the check. I asked the younger man, "How's the food?" "Great if you like chicken fried steak and hamburgers and stuff like that," he replied. "I do." I took a seat at the sole unoccupied booth and looked to the menu board, a black chalkboard on the far wall which wasn't very far as it was a small diner. It listed two specials. Special number 1 was chicken fried steak with mashed potatoes and gravy and green beans or corn and a roll and iced tea, $6.99. Special number 2 was the same thing, except you got cornbread instead of the roll. The proprietor had listed the one special twice instead of simply writing choice of roll or cornbread in order to make it appear he had more than just the one, apparently. A young waitress came and awaited patiently my studied decision, no doubt recognizing me as a visitor to Anthony. I chose special number 2, opting for the cornbread. It proved to be the real thing, the gravy I mean. Although it was not called sawmill gravy on the menu board, I knew what it was, being from the Ouachita Mountains of Arkansas where sawmilling was a common occupation in my growing up days. On the southern Kansas plains west of Wichita, a sawmiller would starve to death, and this cook had probably never heard of sawmill gravy. Finishing my meal, I decided the Anthony Motel was no more inviting than the Wheatfield Inn. I left a tip, paid the check and departed. Pulling beneath the portico of the Wheatfield Inn, I saw I was still the only guest. I entered the little office. It was not as bad as I had feared, at least it was clean. A chime triggered by my entry rang in the back. A small brown woman about 30 years old, 5 feet tall and weighing less than 100 pounds emerged from behind a curtain. I told her of my reservation. She found a scrap of paper where the man with the foreign accent had taken down the essentials. I studied her as she looked for the registration form. As I filled it in, I asked, "Are you Vietnamese?" She looked at me quizzically. "Are you from Vietnam?" I asked. I could tell she didn't understand, so I completed the form without more. Finally she realized what I was asking and replied, "No, I'm from India." "What part of India?" She gave me the name of her city, which began with an S. "Do you know it?" she asked. "It is 3 to 4 hours from Bombay." I told her I believed I had clients from her city, thinking about an Indian couple who had been in the office recently. She seemed pleased. I inquired as to how she happened to land in Anthony, Kansas, a dying town of 2,700 from Bombay, a city uncountable. She explained that she and her husband had been in the States for 5 years and reeled off a number of places where they had lived, the last being Wichita. A baby began to cry in the back room. She apologized and said, "He has teeth," struggling to explain with her limited English. "Oh, he's teething," I said. She nodded again, pleased that I understood her. "He must be what, about 1 year old?" I commented. She brightened at my interest in her child and replied, proudly, "Yes, he is 1 year and 1 day old." He cried again. She disappeared behind the thin cloth curtain separating the office from the back room. Momentarily she emerged with the cutest little 1-year-old I had ever seen. He now had a cracker, crumbs on his cheek, and was satisfied. I commented on how cute he was and she beamed. "I hope I get a shady room," I commented, returning to my own needs. "Oh yes. You may have room 209. It's upstairs in the corner. It has a king-size bed and internet," she added with pride and handed me a key with a worn red plastic fob. I pulled my car around and took my stuff up to room 209. Then I discovered the dark stain on the carpet by the bed. It was too large for a nosebleed and too small for a butchered hog. I began immediately to ponder where the man with the heavy foreign accent might be, the one who had earlier this week taken my reservation. I wondered why he was not at the front desk to check me in. From that point the gears of the engine of inductive reasoning I had been trained to use in law school to decipher tough cases began slowly to grind out an answer, and then it came to me in a flash as I stood in the dimness of room 209. I knew where the man with the foreign accent had been while his wife was checking me into room 209. He had been in the back peeking out at me from behind that curtain. He was planning how he was going to hide what he had done to the last guest in room 209 by doing the same thing to me. This explained logically why the operators of the Wheatfield Inn had moved so often within 5 years. They were running from their criminal acts. They operated small motels in small towns and robbed single male guests in the middle of the night, then killed them. Thus the dark blotch on the carpet, it was the blood of the last man to die here. They surmised rightly that most single men traveling alone wouldn't be missed for some weeks, time enough for them to move on to the next motel in the next town. I slept with my Glock, loaded and safety off next to my bed that night, but very little. The next morning I checked out early from room 209, thankful to have survived the night alone, did my business at the Harper County Courthouse and vowed never to return to Anthony, Kansas. Copyright 2021 Frank D. Taff.
So that's the story of my trip to Harper County.
Thank you, Frank. Well, I wish everybody could unmute so you could hear the laughter. Okay. All right, now we're going to open it up to anybody who wants to share their thoughts about New Year's, their memories. Has anybody else been to Anthony, Kansas? Yeah, please.
Well, Frank, thank you for that story. I have a cousin who lives in Anthony, and I've been there many times. Nearby Attica in Harper County is where my mother and her family all grew up. And Harper County, I think, is where you went when you were trying to help settle my dad's estate about 10 years ago. So that brought back lots of memories. And to my knowledge, nobody has ever been murdered in Anthony or Attica. So thank you for the memories.
Well, you're exactly right, Walt. I wrote that story after doing your business down in Harper County 10 years ago. So I thought you'd recognize that.
I drive through Anthony when I go to Amarillo from Topeka. That's a shortcut to Amarillo, and I drive right by Farmers Oil Company at Anthony. Next time I'll take a look out for Wheatfield Inn.
Yeah.
I've taken that shortcut on the way to Harper County, Oklahoma, from Harper County, Kansas to Harper County, Oklahoma, near the Oklahoma Panhandle, where my dad, my family is from, on my dad's side, a little town named Buffalo. And before that, it was on Highway US 64, and I think 83, 81, 83. Before it was named Buffalo, it was named Brule, as I understand it, which translates to bison in German. But yeah, I've taken that shortcut. It's desolate.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
And
How about, yeah.
An eerie part of this tale, I left off, I sent it to my old high school classmates with an addendum to it, but Harper County is named after a man who was killed at Walden, Arkansas during the Civil War in December 1863, which I discovered after I encountered Harper County. So there was a connection there with my old hometown, amazingly.
Wow.
What about, does anybody want to share their New Year traditions? Anybody going for the polar bear plunge or making jambalaya like Frank does?
I'm not doing any of those things, but it was brought to my attention, or I realized in the last couple of months that I have not been singing as much as I used to, and it's a very important, just personally for me, what it does for me personally, and it's one of those things about the pandemic that, kind of sneak up on us. I suppose everybody has some things that they realize the pandemic has altered for them in their life, besides the obvious. And not singing, because I depend on this group. That's been where I do my singing, and I love group singing. So it's not just solo singing, it's singing with other people. And the fact that we are not gathered together physically, and when we do, singing is something that is slightly dangerous. I like the idea that it could be subversive, but my resolution is sing more this year. Even just for myself, back and forth in the car is a great place to sing, and I certainly recommend that to all of you. It was one of the things when David was in the hospital 5-6 years ago that Reverend Sarah asked me on one of our phone calls, "Are you singing?" And she meant singing in the car, going back and forth. She knew the value of that in a time such as that. So that is my resolution, is to sing more.
Good. I think we'd all like to hear you sing or sing with you.
Well, it is the group singing, and particularly with, I mean, it can be with people I don't know at all and still be quite a spiritual experience, but especially with people that I know and love. And that's my spirit. As my mother said a few years ago, that was her worship. And when she stopped doing it in her church, she really felt a loss. It was because she thought her voice was no longer good enough with age. And it made me so sad, because I told her, I don't think anybody else notices but you. And it's a form of worship, a form of spiritual practice for us in our family. And I think that's certainly true.
Maybe we could sing over Zoom sometime.
Well, I was at first, Krista, when we first started doing Zoom, and apparently live singing does not carry across on Zoom well at all, and group singing is a disaster because of all the delays. So that's why I've not been doing it of late. And I was so pleased when we were able to meet together. And I could do at least one. That was the one time in the last 2 years of other than the Zoom disasters. Yeah, it just doesn't work well online. It has to be recorded and then play.
Maybe if we start meeting together again, we could all go outside and sing together.
Amen.
Lou, there's something that I would like to throw out a challenge. There are a number of members who would like to see a minister at the helm of our religious home. And we are in the process of starting a search. What we need, according to the bylaws, is 7 individuals who are willing to serve on a search committee. So think about it, because this is going to be coming up. If you are willing to do so, contact me, Adele, or Kathy. We have been on a search committee, and we are looking, and Jana. So we are looking for someone who is aware that it may be a long search, but you have to start with the first step, and this is a new year. So if you are so moved to participate, please let Valerie or one of us know. Thank you.
Bobby, I hope you saw that Susanna volunteered.
Yes, I did. Thank you,
Okay,
Susanna.
so you've got her written down.
Absolutely.
Okay, anybody else want to share their New Year's ideas or? Yeah, Dennis?
I just want to talk a little bit again about our crisis intervention team. One thing, we're having a training this week beginning tomorrow. The latest iteration of our crisis intervention team is the Stormont Vale Health Mobile Clinic, which will be roaming the streets of Topeka and being able to see 15 people per day, diverting people from the emergency room. But what I want to talk about in particular is a 10-year project of cutting the homicide rate in Topeka in half, modeled after Rochester, New York. And that's what I'm going to start pushing for right now. I just thought I'd let you know I'm going to bring it up tomorrow during the training. Can be done.
Wow.
Just
That's
keep
great.
your,
Dennis. I'd like to do two quick things. One, Frank, if you look, I sent you a personal chat. Let me know if you get it, don't get it. The second thing is, Janine, I wanted to talk about singing. We have people in my family that can sing and those who can't carry a tune. So for this year, we rang in the new year. I had my sister-in-law bring her favorite silver bells, and we had enough for everyone to sing the actual lyrics to Silver Bells. And one of the lines says, "From the mountains to the prairies." And since our home is Prairie Home, we rang in the new year from Prairie Home, and anyone that comes visit will ring in for you as well. But we rang in the new, and people that couldn't carry a tune could ring bells. And I had the lyrics all printed out. So I'm right with you, Janine. I'm right with you.
Well, but that's why I love group singing.
I'm sorry?
People that think they can't carry a tune are sometimes helped along by people that do. And even so, they can bury themselves in the group sound. So there's no such thing as someone that can't sing when you're singing in a group.
We've been trying that. Thank you, Janine.
Hey, Dennis.
Yeah.
I'm interested in that homicide reduction program. Rochester,
New York.
New York.
Basically,
what are they doing?
what it is we work in parallel. They work in parallel with the police department and not under the direction of the police department. They're called messengers in the community, people who notice the hot spots. Basically, the stats are 62% of all homicides start from family disputes or neighborhood disputes. And the idea is to have people notice the hot spots, and then we train people to intervene before they get out of control. But in the data shows in Rochester, New York, they're cutting the homicide rate in half. Okay. And it's going to take a long time for police to buy into it, but that's why I'm saying 10 years. But we did the mental health court, we did the crisis intervention team. We have all these other things like the mobile health unit with Stormont Vale. So I'm just saying, this is the next 4-H project that we're working on.
Thank you for what you do.
A pleasure. And I might want to just say hats off to the wonderful things that the Topeka Police Department does that I never expected to happen. There's good people everywhere.
Boy, that is good to hear.
Beth, I saw your question and answered it. I thought it was from Kent, though.
My machine, that's why.
Sorry.
And thank you, Frank. Wow, what a story. Wowie kazowie.
Well, thank you. Yeah, the Wheatfield Inn, I think, is out of business. I looked for it the other day. The Anthony Motel and Cafe, the motel is still there. I think the cafe is out of business, so it's practically a ghost town, probably.
The Farmer's Oil is big there, doing well. Big transportation business, hauling gas and ammonia. Yeah.
The last time I was there, there was a fire in the center of town. A building burnt. I don't know whether they ever repaired it or not. Have you noticed it recently? Have you been through Anthony recently, Dennis?
Yeah, I have in the last year. Yeah, it's a 60-mile shortcut to Amarillo. Yeah.
Is that building in the middle of town still burnt to the ground?
Yep, I think it is. Yep, I remember that.
10 years, they haven't repaired it.
Yeah, I was wondering what that was. Yeah. It's emblematic of all these small towns. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really sad, Anthony. I saw that they were advertising for a district attorney recently. No one even wants to move to Harper County to be a district attorney. You know, that's.
They're going to have, they have county district or county attorneys out there. Yeah.
Well, that deadened the conversation, didn't it, Dennis?
Well, Frank, I wondered if you were tempted to take that county attorney job.
Oh my.
Not a bit.
No.
That's a lonely country down there, boy.
Yeah.
Beautiful country.
Oh, it is. A lot of history. Main line, it's the Transcon line of the BNSF 40-hour schedule from Chicago to LA goes right through there. 60 trains a day.
Well, where do you turn south to get to Amarillo after you pass through Anthony?
Oh, I go through Kiowa, and I go through Winoka, and then I go through Alva, and I can't think of that. I pretty well follow the BNSF main line to get there, but I saved 60 miles over going through Oklahoma City.
Do you go all the way out to the Oklahoma line? I mean, to the Colorado line to go south, or what?
Oh, no, I don't even get into Colorado. No, I cross into Oklahoma, south of Kiowa, and then go directly on several highways till I get to Pampa. Yeah.
Good. Does anybody else want to share their New Year resolutions or some delightful recipe? Okay, well, maybe it's time for us to go ahead with our closing. Thank goodness for the UUFT. We really need each other. This is the place where we can speak honestly about our feelings, thoughts, and beliefs. Like the bar Cheers of the TV series, it's a place where everybody knows your name. And now we're going to have some music. It's going to be a great day. Okay, thank you, everybody. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thank you.
Bye.
New Year.
Bye. Thank
Happy
you.
New Year. Good to see everyone.
Year.
Bye.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Bye, everybody.